In my quest, I call it my quest, that seemed to change in subject matter throughout my life, I found that energy, that drive, has always been with me. When I was a really young kid, I found certain things to connect with and identify with that stimulated my faith, my trust in life. To me, life was always very personal. Then when I had experiences occur that stirred me in such a way of desperation and a sense of loss, I lost hope. I became resentful, bitter. I felt that life was not fair. So, of course, I went through this segment, did a lot of things to hurt myself and hurt others. And then when I was in my early 20s, I found myself going back to my mother's religion, which happened to be what is known as spiritualism. And that brought me back to a connection with lost loved ones, with teachers, that brought my hope back up, re-inspired me, to such an extent that I found myself being led by Spirit to develop psychic abilities and find that became a part of my living expression. But personally, I felt I needed something else, and it was through spiritualism, all things, that I began to feel the presence of something else in my life that I couldn't quite describe, but yet seemed very powerful. So I found that I was being led in this way, even though I did not realize it. And what it led me into was an experience of another religion, another way of connecting with God, with life, that involved the Holy Spirit. And my connection with the Holy Spirit stirred me to such a way I wanted this. I had to have this experience. I needed to know what the baptism of the Holy Spirit was about. Personally, I saw it with others, I witnessed it, and it just stirred me to such a degree that I had to have this experience. Well, if you really want something, and you're really willing to make the sacrifice of doubt and fear, then you open yourself up to where you can experience it, and I did. And it was such an empowering experience that opened me up to hear an inner voice that before only at times whispered to me. And most of the time, I discounted it because I was so caught up in listening to the other dominant voice in my head, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with. I'm talking right now about the still, small voice. The one that we have all waited for. We longed for it. We sought after it. But many times in vain. It seemed as if it did not speak. Or when it did speak, we weren't sure if that were it or if that were another voice. So I'm sure that some of you can at least appreciate this from a personal perspective of longing for a deep interpersonal experience to where you hear that voice of guidance and you're not dismayed, It helps you to get beyond your confusion, your despair, your unhappiness, whatever it may be. But up until that point, no voice is heard except the voice of fear and her twin sister doubt. We know how they are. But then, there are messages that come to us, such as, eye hath not seen, ear hath not heard, the glories of God has prepared for them that love the Lord. Why, that just sounds incredible, incredulous. And we wonder in ourselves, in our human selves, how can this be possible? But you see, it really is a matter of what we tune in with as to whether we are tuned into truth. We will hear the vibrant message of strength, of health, of success. And if we're cut into the mortal mind strata, of course we get the unhappiness, the vice, and the poverty of the world. Now I'm talking about an instrument that we all have. We're all a custodian of this instrument. This is a wonderful receiving set. And it's ours. And this one is not subject to the limitations of the world, but open to the unlimited possibilities of our inner domain. It requires of you to get yourself in a proper state of receptivity. And when you do, you'll find that this connection begins to open up for you. So that when you find things are going dead wrong, you know you must first completely reverse the process. You've got to right yourself mentally. You've got to let go of the confusion, and oftentimes seemingly deliberate confusion. If you open yourself up to this, you find that the reversing of this process, it really isn't a difficult thing to do. But you see, again, that's why I put this in such a personal way. You've got to really want this in order for it to be your living reality. And sometimes what you need is just to take a common sense attitude about it. The reverse of the lie is the truth. The reverse of the lie, which often is screaming inside of you, is the truth. When you come to this realization, you then open back up to an opportunity where the truth of life begins to speak to you and speak through you. Ye shall declare a thing, and it shall come to pass. Again, to the human mind, this seems out of the question. But when you open yourself up and begin to feel the stirring of this inner spirit, it begins to bring this reality alive. So that then you're encouraged to take this at its word. Such promises as this are to be kept and fulfilled if we will just simply accept them at face value. So the suggestion comes to you loud and clear. Just relax. Let go. Accept God and His Word. Cast your burdens on Him. Abandon yourself to His love. And just listen with a wide, awake mind. And the still, small voice not only will speak to you, but it will become your teacher, your guide, your protector, Then we jump to one who knew this so well and brought this alive to where then we're able to have what is known as the Christ consciousness. Because Christ said, "Suffer not that little children come to me. Let them come." And the reason he said this is because he knew that they accepted what was told to them as fact. If you find this hard to believe, think in your own life about your relationship to Santa. Okay, child faith we're talking about here. How it begins according to its faith. How long Santa Claus remained a reality to you. Your parents told you there was a Santa Claus and that he was coming, and he never failed to come. And he continued to come until some other child told you, or your curiosity got the better of you, and you started reasoning things out and found out it was impossible for him to come. And so he stopped coming. Just as soon as you found out in your mind that there was no Santa Claus, just that soon did he stop coming. You were not intelligent enough to realize that Santa Claus was just a material name for the giver of gifts. That Santa was a reality. No, you said, it's impossible, it cannot be done. And so you destroyed your Santa. The point of this is, so long as you have an absolute faith of the child, so long you take God at his word and do not try to see how he could possibly do the things he promises, just that long you are going to be abundantly cared for in every way. When you have the childlike faith, the pure faith of your thought, it will open up your connection with a still small voice, because you'll come to realize it really is the Father within speaking to you. You realize you really are at one with God. And that when you open yourself up and, as a child, trust, God opens up to you. Gain simplicity. Turn to his promises. And with the attitude of, "Yes, Father, I believe." Accept those beautiful promises just as you did the Santa Claus promise. And it shall be yours according to your faith. Remember that his promises are fulfilled. We get so far away from it because we think we know so much. And our knowing gets in the way of our experiencing fulfillment. Seek ye me, and find me when you search for me with all your heart. You see, with your heart, it is with feeling and faith. It is not with a cold intellect of the brain or the reasoning of mortal minds. It is the simplicity and faith of the child. So my encouragement to you is practice getting in tune with the infinite. Get into the kingdom of heaven within and stay in it. It's easy. It's simple. So simple, a child can do it. Thank you.
For more information about the Metaphysical Church of Enlightenment or the Rodin Foundation, please go to our website at www.rodin.org. If you have been inspired by the revelations shared in these podcasts, please donate to the Rodin Foundation's ongoing efforts to help others help themselves at www.rodin.org/donate.